What's going on, guys? It's your boy Scrubby here, back again with another video. Hope you guys are having a great day. I know I am. And today I've got a story time for y'all where you guys are going to hear the story of something pretty embarrassing when I was at a friend's house and we ended up getting in trouble for backyard boxing gone wrong. But before we get into it, press the like button or no joke, no scam. You're going to get punched in the face so hard you'll forget it's Christmas. And without further ado, let's get into it.
I'm getting quiet now. Laying low when you reach zone, wiping down, making out, take the
Alright, so like I said, this is a story time from when I was younger. I was actually at a friend's house a little bit after Christmas. You know, that's why this story came back to my memory. And he and his older brother, the person whose house we are at, ended up getting this like punching bag for Christmas, but it was one that hung from the roof. And, you know, they had gotten 2 pairs of boxing gloves to punch the bag. Each of them got a pair. And I wasn't the only kid over that day. It was like a relatively large group. And obviously, when you have a group of boys together with 2 pairs of boxing gloves, we decided that we were going to fight each other. And, you know, it was almost like his parents had a sixth sense because they ended up coming out into the garage pretty quickly and being like, no fighting each other. We understand there's 2 pairs of gloves, but we just know it's going to end badly, so don't do it. And, you know, they said don't do it, but they went back inside afterwards. And obviously, we all didn't want to be the person to go, this is a bad idea. We all wanted to look very tough in front of each other, as peer pressure does when you're younger. You know, I didn't want to be the guy to be like, oh, I don't want to fight. So basically, after they go inside, the 6 of us are like, no, we're definitely going to like fight, right? You know, we're going to go through with this. This isn't a bad idea. And it was a bad idea. We shouldn't have done it. But whatever, we end up deciding that because there's 6 of us, we should do a little tournament. Everybody's going to have to fight someone, and then the winners go on to fight each other, and so on and so on. And so they laid out this little bracket, and honestly, the first couple fights didn't have any issues. Like, obviously they were hitting each other, but you know, it would go a round or two and then somebody would tap out, or like somebody would get hit really hard off rip and be like, no, I'm done, I just don't want to do this. And so all in all, it was more peaceful than I expected. People were actually treating it more like a sport than like, you know, just beating the crap out of each other excuse. And it ends up being my turn, right? And so I go up there, I end up having to fight one of his older brother's friends. And you know, as much as I would love to say that the story involves me beating the crap out of him, it didn't. You know, I lasted a while. I ended up tapping out because this guy was 2 years older than me and punched me in the nose, and I just didn't feel like getting beat up. If that makes me a coward, then, you know, at least I don't have to get like a nose job one day. Hey, I'll deal with that. Regardless, after me was the last fight of like the first round. And the older brother of the kid whose house we were at, it was his house, and so they were his gloves, and he was bragging about how like good he was at fighting, you know, and how he was gonna win. And there was another kid that was shorter than everybody else, and he was our friend, you know, like our age. And it ends up being that this really short kid's going to have to fight the older brother who's about 2 years older than us. He's pretty tall, you know, and it was the difference between like being a boy and like, you know, when you start to actually have adult muscles. His older brother had some adult muscles. His older brother had a beard, you know, whereas we were still just kind of like little kids. So whatever, it ended up that they were going to fight, and obviously the older brother just starts to talk mad crap, you know, some of it way too far about his family and his mom and all that stuff, just saying that like he was gonna destroy him, and he's just tearing into this kid. And I'm kind of surprised because like usually my friend's got a little bit of a lip to him. He'll snap back, he'll insult anybody, but he's just being silent. And the entire day he had seemed kind of off, like something was bugging him. So when this guy starts tearing into him and he's quiet, I started to get a little nervous for the older brother, only because this guy was also known for having some anger issues. Like, it was kind of known that he was easy to get pissed off, and once you have him off the handle, it's pretty hard to get him back on it. And I don't think the older brother, A, knew, or B, cared and thought it was going to matter, so he was just talking trash. And the more our friend stayed quiet, the worse the trash talk got. Like, he was obviously trying to get a response, but he just couldn't get it out of him. So the insults just kept getting worse and worse and worse. And, you know, something that none of us knew at the time, but we're about to find out, is that this short kid's grandfather was actually a boxer. And not just like an okay boxer, like, you know, had won money boxing before. I'm not gonna say he was super crazy professional world champion, but yeah, it's probably a pretty good chance that you picked up a thing or two about fighting from your grandpa that was a boxer. And on top of that, he told us after the fact that like, yeah, he would train with his grandpas during the summer, so he had just kept his mouth shut because he knew he was about to beat the crap out of this dude. So whatever, the older brother starts the fight and immediately just gets on the offensive, throwing as many punches as possible. And, instead of like running away or letting him hit him, the shorter kid just kind of ends up playing defense, right? Which is what you're supposed to do in that situation. He's just kind of blocking it, jabbing back defensively, and he's backing up a little bit because the older brother's just coming at him and he has longer arms. And the older brother is just like, oh, you're scared. Look at how scared he is. Bok bok, running away, running away. And some of his friends were like, oh, look at the chicken. And so, he keeps telling him that he's scared, and he's just kind of following him around, like throwing these crazy haymaker punches, and he's just kind of sidestepping them every time. And so after a while of him just silently sidestepping all of his punches and being on defense, I think the older brother really started to think that like, oh, I'm going to beat the crap out of this kid. I just have to land one punch. Because he started to just like show off and just be silly, He started trying to like land 360 punches and all that stuff. And honestly, it was pretty insulting. Like, if I would have been the short kid in this scenario, it's like, all right, you're bigger than me, you're probably gonna win, but I don't think you're gonna beat me up if you start trying to 360 me, dude. Like, that's kind of insulting. So whatever, he kind of starts throwing haymakers and being silly, spinning in circles, that type of stuff, the entire time still talking trash about this guy's family, his mom, all that stuff. All right, guys, I'm gonna interrupt the video for just 1 second. If you take a look at your screen, you'll see a gift card code. I give one of these away in every video, so subscribe and turn on notifications. If you already do, you're awesome, and press the like button, or no joke, no scam, your mom's a hoe, and let's get back to it. Anyways, as the brother's being goofy and being way too cocky, my friend is just kind of like watching him, and finally, when he does another spin, when he comes around, my friend just hits him with like a nasty left hook that he just really did not see coming, bro. Even if he saw it coming, it still would have hurt, but he just didn't see it coming. And when he catches the older brother completely off guard, like his head swings back, and he's kind of like, what? Kind of angrily shakes his head. And when sometimes like someone's being really cocky and you embarrass them, they like have the reaction of just getting more angry and just getting way more into it. Well, that's his brother's reaction, and the entire time he had just been running after my friend, swinging at him really hard, so he just starts to run after him and swing even harder. But like I said, none of us knew this at the time, this kid could box, so he starts to just dodge it, and he dodged one of the hard punches that he throws at him, and he just throws an uppercut, and it hits in like the perfect underneath the chin spot, and his older brother's head just kind of like goes back, just like, and everybody in the crowd, all of us are just kind of like, oh, we could tell that one did not feel very pleasant. When I tell you, like, we heard the of just the connection and just his head flying straight back. And to make matters worse, when his head was back, he went, ugh, like a very angry sound. So our friend thought that like, okay, it's not over yet. So when his head had come back down, our friend had his other hand ready and just punched him straight in the nose. And, it was another one of those hits where it's just like, it connects so good, it sounds like somebody just dropped a sack of potatoes. Like, it's just like a thump. And you just know that hurt. And immediately at that point, he just falls down holding his nose. Like, homie crumples like a piece of paper in the wind, just grump straight to the ground. And obviously at that point, we run over and we break him up, and we're like, oh crap, this definitely got a little bit more out of control than anyone had expected, except for the fact that we should have expected it. Like, obviously it was going to go this way. Not many people can get punched in the face and not get mad about it. And on top of that, we should have known that like somebody was just gonna absolutely wreck somebody else. So whatever, we're looking at his older brother, and his nose isn't broken, but it's bleeding, and he definitely got rocked. Like, he's not making sense. His sentences are kind of a little bit different, and he's also crying really loudly because we were kids, but like he had never gotten punched in the face that hard before, and so the crying is just kind of loud, just saying ow over and over again. And obviously his parents end up coming out to investigate the yelling, and when they walk out and we're all gathered around two people in boxing gloves, it becomes very evident of like what we were doing. There's really no excuse. There's nothing we can say. Like, what are we gonna do? No, it's not what it looks like. We put on the boxing gloves to pretend they were oven mitts. We were baking easy bake ovens, and your son's nose is bleeding because he went to lift out the brownies and did it way too hard and smacked himself in the face with a pan. So they immediately started yelling at us about how they told us not to box and this could be a liability and blah 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 blah. And I understand it now, I really do, but at the time I was like, I don't get it. So they ended up calling telling all of our parents to send us home, which if I was in their shoes, I would have done the same thing. You know, I'm not going to sit here and say that I hate them for like doing what the responsible decision was to do. But obviously I was upset at the time when my parents came over and were mad at me, and I was like, hey, who the hell leaves a group of boys unattended with 2 pairs of boxing gloves and expects them not to start fighting? I don't know, man. Like, I just feel like they should have been able to see that coming. I get why they did what they did, but at the same time, like, even to this day, if you got me and the Scuff Boys in a room with 2 pairs of boxing gloves and left us alone for 4 hours, we'd start fighting. Like, it just would happen. So, you know, be careful. You never know who's gonna knock you out, but also just be careful about what you leave around, because kids will do stupid stuff. Anyways, guys, I think that's gonna do it for the video. Hopefully you enjoyed. If you did, I'd really appreciate you taking a second to press the like button. Let me know in the comments section down below what you thought. If you really enjoyed the video, check out the intro song linked down below, along with a link to my podcast, The Scuffed Cast, and of course, you could use code SCRUBBY at the G Fuel checkout. Great way to get a discount on the best energy drink for gamers. And last but not least, 2 more things to shout out. I've got the Storytime or the Spotify where I post all my story times. So if you want to listen to those offline without gameplay, link's going to be in the description. Check it out. And we've got the Karen Christmas sweater. It's fantastic. It's cool. It's absolutely great. That link's in the top of the description. Be sure to get it to get on the nice list. And yeah, on that note, don't get anyone pregnant. If you do, make sure they're hot. And I'll see you guys next time. I'm out. Peace.